Welcome to this video on the second calculation step of the FABLE model, computation of the targeted livestock production. Our objective is to help you learn how livestock production is calculated, through which tables, as well as what are the main inputs and outputs of the second calculation worksheet. The computation of the production from the livestock sector is the second step in the FABLE calculator. The livestock sector supplies animal food products and consumes other agricultural products for animal feed. This explains why we need to compute the production of the livestock sector before the production of the crop sector. The process of calculation steps is as follows. The demand for livestock products, which has already been defined in the calculation of human demand, is the starting point of the calculation of livestock production. Imports are computed as a share of total consumption which is imported times the consumption for each product and time step. The exported quantity is then taken from the selected scenario. Consumption minus imports plus exports increased by the share of production which is lost results in the production which is required domestically by animal product and time step. The production per animal type and production system is divided by the average productivity to compute the herd for each animal type, production system, and time step. Productivity depends on the productivity shifter in the selected animal productivity scenario. We divide the number of ruminants by the average ruminant density per hectare to obtain the target pasture area. This will then feed into the next worksheet to calculate total pasture land. Now that we have a panoramic overview of the steps to calculate livestock production, let us go to find the needle in the haystack on how these calculation steps look with more detail in the calculator. Follow me. Livestock production is calculated in the FABLE model in the green calculation worksheet called 2Calc Livestock, using data from the respective gray worksheet called 2Data Livestock. The main calculations comprise tables 2A through 2J. In the beginning of table 2A, you can see all the relevant scenarios that are required at this level of calculations. Let us now revise the rest of the tables with more detail. As revised in the previous slide, the main input to this worksheet is a calculation of human demand for livestock products, which is recalled into this worksheet by the last column in the first set of tables, a column called Consortium. Table 2C then calculates production, consumption, and trade of livestock products, ending in the column Prod Anim. Table 2.b then transforms this value through productivity data into final herd numbers, into the column Real Herd. The value of herd will then be used in different parts of the calculator to account for how much pasture is needed for the feed necessary for such herd and how much emissions are resulting from these activities. For example, in the current worksheet, tables 2.e through 2.I calculate the herd size and corresponding feed, point F, relevant to the selected scenarios, 2.E, and the herd size and corresponding pasture, 2.I, emissions, 2.H, according to selected scenarios, 2.G. The main output of this worksheet is pasture, in the column named in the same way, which, as we will revise in later videos, will feed into calcland to calculate the change in land cover. You may have noticed that I have skipped two tables in the explanation above. You're smart! Table 2.D, called Check Herd, and Table 2.J, called Check Anim Products. These two tables are a useful tool built into the calculator to check that your economic balance in the model is maintained, both for the total amount of herd as well as for all livestock products, respectively, especially when compared to historical values. We will look at these tables more in detail in the next quiz and exercise. Get your notebooks and calculators ready.